Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and today we're going to do what hopefully will be a fun set of tests. This is a Q Honey Badger, and this is, well, sort of an MP5SD. This is specifically an H&K SP5 that I sent off to HiTec Arms to have it converted to the SD configuration. So, it has a short ported barrel here with a gigantic telescoping can over the barrel. This will reduce the velocity of Supersonic 9 to subsonic and makes it really, really quiet. Now, the Honey Badger, of course, if you know, basically, if you've watched any videos on the Honey Badger, if you know any one fact about the Honey Badger, aside from how much it costs, which is right up there with the SP5, what you probably know is that this was intended to be a replacement for that. So in the early 2010s, Advanced Armament put together the original pattern of what would become commercially the Honey Badger by request of some US Special Forces guys, because they wanted something that could do everything the MP5 could do, but with more terminal effect. The problem was subsonic 9mm didn't have the greatest performance at actually putting down targets. And they figured, well, what if we can do something better? So that project began with 300 Whisper, which turned into 300 Blackout because licensing, and put together in a gun like this, which was deliberately designed to be the same overall length as the MP5, and you can see it is. Now, this is 300 Blackout, this is 9mm, so in theory we should see more power, less noise. But we're gonna run this through some shooting and some tests and see which one comes out on top. So, all right, collapsing stocks on both guns. Honestly, the 3 notches I have to hold the lever is kind of annoying on the MP5, but I've got 124 grain, like standard service regular ball, and this definitely is going to drop it subsonic. So what we're going to do is put a double tap on each paper target and see how long it takes. All right, so overall thoughts, the MP5, the cheek weld is not great for coming up right on that red dot on target, but I'm fairly consistent here, so we're looking at just sub 2 seconds and getting a mix of alphas and charlies. So let's go ahead and try the Honey Badger now. The Honey Badger only has one position on the collapsing stock, which is actually okay with me. It's still a kind of a, not the world's smoothest stock to open, but whatever. The Honey Badger is notably lighter than the MP5SD. So handling goes to the Honey Badger. The Honey Badger also has a far better trigger in it than a stock MP5. Now, I put a shooting sight trigger in that one, which is amazingly good. So that kind of evens them out a little bit. But in general, the handling, I have to say, handling points all go to the Honey Badger here. All right, am I a gunfighter? No, definitely not. A lot of people, a lot better than me, but I think the comparison here is valid and interesting. Now, the thing is, it's not just about close-up speed. One of the advantages that 300 Blackout gives is better long-range performance. So what I want to try now is, let's do double tap, headshot on the Mini-Mo. That'll force speed and then accuracy. Let's see if I can do it. I gotta say, we have to give points to the MP5 for this lap.
Shooter, are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by.
Got it again. Took 2 shots on the head this time. And that says 1.02 seconds, which means it did not catch them all. So, I don't know. Let's switch over to the Honey Badger and see how that one goes. And you really don't think about the MP5 being a heavy gun, but you switch to this thing and it's just air weight.
All right, shooter, are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by.
Die, you! All right, that wasn't so great. That one might have been an accurate time at 7.22 seconds. Oops. I think we can see how I can typically do with the honey badger for this drill. Now, obviously one of the shortcomings of pistol ammunition is that it's not so great at longer range. And one of the key requirements or key desirables with a 300 Blackout with the honey badger was to have something that was fast and quiet at close range, but also effective at longer range. Now, we'll run some supersonic ammo through this in a minute, but for the time being, we're sticking with 220 grain subsonic ammo, same that we've been using. And we have a full-size steel silhouette out at 180 yards here. It's solid black. It's actually pretty easily visible. I don't need a magnifier or anything to see that guy. But I want to know, am I going to be able to hit it more with the honey badger than with the MP5SD? So I've got 10 rounds for each gun, and we'll see how many hits out of 10 I can get. Because these are both ludicrously quiet guns, we'll get a nice ringing off that steel, and you'll be very easily able to hear it. So, no rest, but I am going to use the ground on my mag here. You ready?
Ready.
Oh, and we're starting with the honey badger to give the MP5 a little bit of a benefit on this one, because I have to figure out what my holdover is at 180.
One.
Apparently my holdover is that.
2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9.
9 out of 10. That's going to be hard to top. There we go. Oh, come on. Okay, I saw that one. You know, we did some practice on this, and I was able to hit this thing, not a lot, but I was able to hit it in practice. There we go, I got one. All right. That's by far the most clear-cut differential of this testing so far, and I have to say that's kind of what I expected. 9mm ammo, just the ammo's not as consistent. Not a good long-range experience, and yeah, 1 out of 10 here, 9 out of 10 on the honey badger. All right, you guys didn't think this video would end without the spinner showing up somewhere. There it is at 15 yards. And I want to use this as an experiment to see if we can actually see a difference in ballistic impact and terminal effectiveness between these two cartridges. So I'm shooting 220 grain 300 Blackout, and I'm shooting 124 grain, which is kind of the standard 9mm. And let's see how many rounds it takes for me to actually spin the spinner with both of them. This is subsonic, so we're not using supers here. All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right, so I got in an 11 by doing the stupid thing that you're not supposed to do, which is forcing it over, getting it almost, and then hit. If I had waited and given it just one shot on the top, that could have been an 8. I could have gotten 2 to 3 fewer shots. So 8 or 9 would have done it. But I did get it an 11. So let's see what the MP5 can do.
Do the H&K slap.
All right, here we go. Okay, I did pretty much the same thing there. I got it in 15 hits, of which the last 2 definitely didn't have to do. So actual straight up numbers, 11 versus 15, both of them done kind of erroneously in the exact same way. So we're probably looking at more like 13 to 8 or 9. But you can see the 220 grain bullet, you're getting almost double the mass on target from the honey badger, has a real impact. A literal impact on the spinner. Now, just for kicks, I want to try 2 other things. I want to try this with 147 grain 9mm, see if that makes a difference. And I want to try it with Supersonic 300. 150 grain S&B, sorry, I misspoke earlier. I will also point out, it was kind of interesting. I felt like I had an easier time shooting doubles on the spinner with the MP5. Its heavier weight and its reduced recoil compared to the honey badger actually made it, I was able to shoot this at a faster cadence because I was able to get doubles more often than I could get doubles with the honey badger. That's the thing. That's okay. Here we go. 150 subsonic. All right, that was 12. So it was actually just slightly less than using 124 grain ammo. So shouldn't really come as any surprise that since everything's capped at the speed of sound, this all comes down to bullet weight. And standard ball 9mm at 124 is the weakest. 150 grain, still going the same velocity, is a little better. 220 grain out of the 300 is the best. But what if you're not limited by the speed of sound? Now the MP5 always is because of its ported barrel. It's going to reduce velocities either to subsonic or very close to it. So you can't, like, you got subsonic or nothing. That's what you get. The 300, however, again, one of its specific design criteria is that you can set it up to use supersonic ammunition alongside subs. So I have a magazine here of 145 grain Bernal Supersonic. And by supersonic, this is like 2,000 feet per second, maybe a little bit more. It is way more muzzle energy than the subs. So this should be a lot better on that spinner, should get it over faster. However, I've shot supersonic in this honey badger before, and I can tell you it is a terrible experience. Don't ever plan to do it. If you get a honey badger, only shoot it with subsonic, because you can't set up a gun like this to run properly on both subsonic and supersonic. It's just laws of physics. The amount of gas you need coming back into the action, the buffer weight you need to properly cycle it, is going to be different when you quadruple the amount of kinetic energy in the bullet. So the honey badger is at home with subsonic ammunition, and it's a waste of time. Well, it's not a waste of time, but it's really a misallocation of resources to put supersonic in it. However, you can if you need to. So let's see what supers will do on this spinner for me. Oh, man. All right, 7 hits. I shot a few more because I had some misses. That thing blows an incredible amount of gas back in my face. Wouldn't be so bad if I were right-handed, but as a lefty, my left eye is already watering. I had a hard time making the hits because of that. The recoil is way more intense. And okay, so I know you're looking at the screen and you're like, you giant sissy, it's 300 Blackout. How much recoil? It's 762 by 39 effectively. And yes, it is. But your cheek rest is a solid edge of plastic. Like, this thing is designed not to be a comfortable cheek rest, but to be the shortest possible buffer system right there. So it can match the overall length of the MP5. It's not designed for comfort, and it's not comfortable with supersonic. So if you have one of these things, like I said, stick to subsonic. It's way more pleasant. Like, supersonic's just, ugh. If you want supersonic, get a 5.56 essentially, or an AK, or a 308, or something else that's intended to be supersonic. All right, so some conclusions. First off, I want to point out one other thing that came up that's a known issue on the Honey Badger, but we need to mention it, and that is, this is the SD version of the Honey Badger. It's got a handguard designed basically just like the MP5SD, where the handguard goes all the way out and the suppressor nests inside of it. Now, on the MP5, there's a little bit of an air gap between the handguard and the suppressor, and you've got this big chunky rubber forend over a metal forend to insulate your hand from the suppressor. And this effectively doesn't really get hot. This does get hot. It gets hot pretty fast. It is such a tight fit between the suppressor and the handguard that you can't hold it out here because your hand just goes right through the M-lock slots and hits the suppressor, and it gets hot really fast. The rest of the handguard heats up pretty quickly too because it heats here and it just radiates back. Now, it's not bad at the moment, but this will get pretty darn hot pretty fast. So I have a slate black vertical front grip on there, which, by the way, you can only put behind the suppressor, because once you get to here, the suppressor doesn't have enough space, or the handguard doesn't have enough space for M-lock screws, so you can't put anything in. Now, Q makes a separate version of this where the gun's identical, but the handguard ends here, and you have a slightly larger in diameter and slightly shorter suppressor. If you want to get a Honey Badger, get that one. The SD version looks cool, but is definitely less practical than the short handguard, larger diameter can. So, with that out of the way, commentary on the two of these, honestly, to me, the Honey Badger does essentially everything better than the MP5. The one place the MP5SD has an advantage is controlled recoil and pairs and triples. And I wasn't really able to demonstrate that on our cardboard targets, but I could definitely feel it, and hopefully you saw it on the spinner, where I was able to get triples on the spinner with the MP5, where I could only get doubles with the Honey Badger. So just a slight increase in controllability and a reduction in shot splits in exchange for a gun that is significantly less accurate, significantly less ballistically powerful. So, oh, we should talk about sound for a moment. The MP5SD is definitely a quieter gun than the Honey Badger. It's got a lower pressure cartridge that also has a larger volume suppressor on it. So not surprising, the MP5 is going to be a little quieter. Honestly, having not seen the footage yet, I'm not sure if you can tell that on camera or not, but we could tell it here doing the shooting in person. Is it problematic? No. The Honey Badger is a little bit louder. It's still subsonic. It's still hearing safe. Honestly, I'm wearing ears just out of habit, and we've been shooting some other stuff out here today as well. But man, honestly, I thought this would be a much closer evaluation. I thought there would be more that the MP5 was able to really do competitively or better. But there you go. Honey Badger is more powerful, more accurate, better handling, significantly lighter weight. It kind of does everything better than the MP5SD. So here's our full disclosure. I got this gun free from Q. I've had it for like a year now playing with it. I actually paid for everything here. Yes. So I bought the MP5 or the SP5 from HK. I paid HiTec Arms for the SD conversion, and I bought 2 suppressors from them. So they gave me 1 suppressor. I paid for the other suppressor. One of them is on the Car 15 that you saw a couple weeks ago. So my money is literally on this guy, and actually the better of the 2 guns, hardly without any competition, is the Honey Badger. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. A big thanks to Q, a big thanks to HiTec Arms. This SD conversion to the SP5 is an awesome thing. It is super cool. That is a service that they offer to anybody else, and they do a bunch of other HK style conversions like that. If you have a long barrel gun or a pistol or an SBR, whatever, and you want it in SD configuration, check out HiTec Arms. Or if you want the modern hotness that doesn't look quite so good in an action movie, but actually works better, man, it's hard to say that, but it's true, then Q and the Honey Badger. Thanks for watching.